Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
New season, new cars, and new challenges. That's what's in store here tonight as the iRacing Israel League gets ready to kick off a new season here on Apex Racing TV. Hello everyone, my name is DJ Clark, joined here in the commentary booth by Sam Fitzpatrick with our director and producer Lewis Ward behind the scenes. And Sam, After a season in the GT4s, we swap over to some open wheelers in the form of the iR-04, and to kick it off, we get started tonight at one of the spiritual homes of North American open wheel racing, Laguna Seca. I can't imagine a better way to get going.
Absolutely, this is a really good start circuit for these drivers to tackle. It's one that everyone's driven in other sims. It's of course one of the free circuits as well, so drivers would have done MX5 as well. So seeing as this is a new car for the iRacing Israel League, I think this is a perfect setting to open the season.
Indeed, and speaking of carrying on from last season, well, it doesn't look like we've got too much change up at the top of the standings, with Ruben Chacha absolutely being able to take on a very, very good lead here. He is at the top of the standings there. Yaroslav Malkov is going to be in P2, John Chico, Rantasoni, and Ariel Debush going to be rounding out your P5. Some pretty sizable gaps here as they run down, but as we've seen many times, this Laguna Seca circuit really and truly allows itself for some good close quarters racing, specifically in these slightly underpowered iR-04s.
Exactly, and of course, even if the race 1 is fairly dull, we have got the reverse grid for race 2. 10 cars will get reversed for the second race of the evening, and so at the very least we will have some less competitive drivers near the fronts of the grid for race 2, so there will be a lot of racecraft required for these drivers to make their way through. And it's always that race 2, DJ, which comes alive. I remember broadcasting this championship last season, of course, when you were commentating as well. We had some absolutely epics. I think Road Americas comes to mind, where when these guys properly start attacking out there, it can turn into an absolutely mega race.
Yeah, it certainly can, and I think here with these iR-04s, that's going to improve the draft efficacy around some of these circuits. It's going to lend itself to a little bit more close battling. Probably not going to see some of the door banging that we saw last season, although that was relatively minimal. But running here in the open wheeler is going to really change things up. As it does look like here we've got a couple of drivers still out on track trying to put in those last couple of qualifying laps, but only about 45 seconds to go until we get ready to go racing at Laguna Seca. It's going to be a good season, and I am just all kinds of excited. There's few things better in the world than watching open wheelers go at it. As we continue to wait here, looking over, looks like Ventura and Scherling and Gross, the three drivers that we are waiting for. And just as I say that, Reem Gross able to bump his way up into P5 there in the standings. Good run there for him, only about a second off of your leader, Ruben Chacha. And as we continue to wait here, there comes the checkered flag for qualifying, as it is out in the air right now. And that is going to bring us over here into our starting grid for today. Lining up in pole position, it will be Ruben Chacha, followed by Yaroslav Malkov, then John Chico and Rantasoni in the row behind them. Regros will be in P5, followed by Ariel Debush. Then it's Madi Bakar and Really Sir in P8. Ido Isaac is P9, followed by Yossi Gabay, Nadav Yaron, Amir Meshulam, Tomer Ventura, and Mark Zubarev in 14th. Michael Scherling starts off in P15, followed by Aaron Levi and Tal Stern there as well. Bertie Galili, Amir Hased, Eden Shear, Aviad Yamakarov, and Alon Day at the back of the field, as well as Lior Levi Saruli. And I've got to say here, one of the ones that we are going to be looking for up at the top of the charts here, Alon Day, probably going to be trying to work his way up through the field as much as possible. He is one that we know likes to be able to try to start from the back a little bit, try to see if he is going to be able to get his way up forward. We wait here for those flags to fly in the air. There we take a look at the grid. Ariel Debush on the grid right now. Everybody working their way on through, waiting to see how everything will play itself out here as we still wait for the lights to come up. A couple of drivers waiting to grid up here as they run, holding in position as they go, waiting for that green flag to fly. As we said, here they come though, waiting around as we continue to get this race ready to get going. A new season, a new car, a new track. We haven't really seen this a whole lot before. It's going to be some fantastic action here for these drivers, just waiting for those flags to fly here at this point as we hold steady here, waiting on the grid, waiting to see when we will have that green flag flying in the air. Only a few more seconds for these drivers to grid up before we do get that flag. Hearing here that we're having a few technical issues, so please bear with us for the moment. We will be back. So please bear with us, and we'll be back here on Apex Racing TV. Welcome back to Laguna Seca. Thank you for bearing with us there through some of the technical difficulties. As you can see up at the front of the race, leading from pole position here is Reuven Chacha. We've had a little bit of a coming together there on the first lap. A couple of the drivers unfortunately being taken out a little bit there, including Lior Levi Cerulli and Alone Day at the back of the field. But we've got a nice little battle starting to shape itself out here right now. This is really Cesar being reeled in a little bit by Ido Isaac as they roll their way through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, and there was another issue as well, actually, DJ, between Gross and Gabai, where I think Gabai lost the car going through the left-handed uphill, what they call that, the drivers are currently about to go through. I believe it's labelled a T6 around this circuit, and just a mistake, and unfortunately taking the pair of them out. So that was Gross and Gabai, both requiring fast pairs on this opening lap, as we have got side by side Zubrio trying to go underneath Stern, and that would have been very ambitious to pull off that one. That's a bit more of an attainable corner, however, and that is sure losing out to Yaron. So Yaron down 6 places from his race start, looking to maybe get into the top 10 by the end of this 20-lap race.
Yeah, trying to. A little bit of a slow running there for the 9:59 of Amir Hased. Looks like a little bit cautious going down into the corkscrew, and that was good to be cautious there, as that was an Arn Levi that got it all crossed up there going down the world infamous corner. But now we've got a little bit of side-by-side coming down the main straightaway here. Bakar and Dabush as they work their way through the kink that is turn one. You've got to be late on the binders here coming down into the Andretti hairpin, and it looks like for the moment that Bakar is going to be able to hold that out, trying to look a little bit this way, a little bit that way is the 007. Again, some side-by-side further back in the field here as we've got a spinning car in the back. That is Ventura, but Sherling and Galili going at it right now.
Yeah, and still absolutely wheel-to-wheel. This is the type of racing we want to see in the F4s. These cars are super good when it comes to racecraft, and just going a little bit wide, they're going to have to get out to the throttle slightly, Zubrev, and that is why he's had to lose out on that position on that occasion. Just pushing it a little bit too hard going through turn 4 that time, but I feel like there might still be opportunities later on for him, unless Sherling can now try to break the draft and really start to pull away, which he is doing. A lot more confidence, it looks like, through those couple of corners. And of course, if you're confident through the corkscrew, you can gain a fair few tenths to a second there as well.
Yes, you can, but you've got to be very, very brave to be able to pull that off. As we watch your race leader there, Reuven Cha-Cha, just pulling away from the field here, building out a gap of about 2.5 seconds as they run. A little bit of a battle starting to play right now for John Chico and Yaroslav Malkov there in P2 and 3. This is a little bit of the wait and watch game here, I have to think, as they try to move themselves up through the field a little bit. The gap expanding out to about a second. John Chico doesn't want to push too hard here. The tires on this iR-04 do tend to be a little bit sensitive to overheating, and so I think for Chico, if he just holds it back here for a little bit, maybe waiting for a full-out attack into the last 5 minutes of the race or so, that could be where he sees some success.
It's a decent length race, these 20 minutes. I think that's only a little bit shorter than what we see in the official series the majority of the time. So yeah, you have got to be careful with the tyres, and it's not going to be the easiest circuit to overtake round either, is this one, so there's no point in sort of overheating your tyres, sliding behind a driver. Better to pace yourself for the first part of the race and then get faster later on. As we've got Amir Hased, I believe this is in slow motion. I don't believe he was driving quite this slowly out on circuit, but he was having an issue in 21st position just a moment ago, and dropping down the order. John Chico, yeah, still trying to close that down. Oh, that's a little bit too far. He'll pick up a 1x for that one, but you can use a lot of that final corner of that exit, DJ. I think they've made the off-track a little bit less strict than it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, indeed they have. They have expanded some of the track limits around this Laguna Seca circuit, and that has changed things up a little bit for the running as they go. But Chico there looks like he's wringing the neck here a little bit of this number 04 iR-04 as they run, and that could come back to bite him a little bit. As we said, those tires very sensitive to overheating, and this is a car that if you really try to overdrive it, it'll come back to bite you. But we've got a good battle starting to shape itself up here in P6. This is Really Sir and Ido Isaac, both drivers up 2 positions from the start of the race. Now they're going to be in pretty good position here to have a full-throated battle. Really finds himself about 3 seconds back of Ariel DeBush. Up ahead, Tal Stern about 5 seconds back. Here comes Isaac down to the inside of turn 6. That is not an area where you normally see an overtaking maneuver, but Ido Isaac's elbows out and gets the move done.
Wow, that was looking unlikely a few minutes before. I was waiting for him to back out of it, honestly, but he just kept on going. As we've got a problem for Zubrev just in the background. He was running in P10, if I recall correctly, but he has dropped, well, he's still spinning round as he has got back going, where you can see some of the dirt marks out there, so indicates that he's made a mistake through P6, and crucially puts him outside of the reverse grid places as well for race 2, so it could be a crucial one there for Zubrev. Yaron crashing into the wall, that will be significant damage, I imagine, for him. He will need a fast repair. He can barely get it back to the pits, and that's more setback for him. And now we've got Galili off the circuit, so lots of drivers making mistakes right now, DJ, as Galili not requiring a pit stop, it seems, but he has still lost significant time, and he's down to 12th place.
Yes, he is. He's going to have to fight back here on Tomer Ventura, who was able to get that move done on him there in that yellow machine up ahead of him. We ride on board with Bertie Galili right now as he dives down into the corner, really trying to diamond out Andretti hairpin, and I don't think that exactly worked out for him there, as it looked like he missed that second apex altogether. Yeah, that car is not tracking well. You are right, Sam.
Yeah, well, he was certainly defensive going into turn 2, and look at the amount of time that he's losing to the car ahead, but I don't know, maybe he's up to speed now? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it looks so weird into turn 1, didn't it? Because he seemed to kind of get the car slowed down, yet still struggling to really point it in the direction that he wants to go. So yeah, problems for both Galili and Zubrev on that previous lap, and they now find each other on circuit. Zubrev was ahead, but lost 12 seconds on that last lap. Galili only lost, well, in fact, Ventura lost time as well. So Ventura lost 8 seconds, Galili 9 seconds, and Zubrev about 12 seconds. So awful laps for all of them. And that means that Mechelen is now up into 10th position and would be on reverse grid pole if the results, or if the standings stay as they are to the end of the race. But he's got a nice gap for himself, about 7 seconds to drop back.
Yes, indeed he does. And we check in right now on the battle for P8. Tal Stern and Michael Scherling here working their way around. Stern able to be holding on to the lead there in that number 11. Let's call that gap about 4 or 5 car lengths as they run, about 0.5 of a second. Looks like the 200 there of Scherling gets a pretty good run through the infield coming up through turn 4. Now, we've seen some pretty exuberant passing here coming up the hill through 5 and 6, but I don't think here at this point the 200 is going to be close enough behind, but he is certainly going to be getting a nice little itty-bitty heaping of the draft that'll help him. But in these open-wheel cars, despite the fact that there's not a whole lot of downforce, you do get some aero wash, but that is neither here nor there because here comes Scherling. He's going to have to do this around the outside here of the corkscrew. Later on the binders, tries to go for it. He's going to brake a little bit earlier there. Stern locks it up there side by side coming down the hill.
And in the end, that was the perfect defensive maneuver. He just stopped Scherling right in his tracks. Scherling had to hesitate turning into the corner. He didn't fully commit to the cutback. He was looking to go all the way around the outside. And Stern, despite taking a dreadfully slow line, keeps that position. That's all he needed in that scenario. Zubrev, meanwhile, has actually been passed by Sioni. I thought that Sioni would be staying ahead of him, but yeah, well, to be fair, Sioni started up in P4, didn't he? Of course, dropped back 9 positions earlier on. Not entirely sure what happened to him at the start. If he keeps up this pace, well, he's not going to catch up to Mechelen. We might get P11, I think. Could Sioni, so we'll see how far the car number 20 can get up on circuit, but Zubrev continues to lose places after running in the top 10 earlier on.
Yeah, losing a lot of positions there, down 9 on the day, as you said, and Zubrev there behind, running right where he started off, but certainly looking like he's starting to put the pressure. And as I noticed there on the nose of that number 20, there is a little bit of deformation there. It does look like there is a little bit of damage on the front of that car, so that is no doubt going to be hurting the turn-in. I also see a little bit there on the right front end plate. We jump back up to that battle between Stern and Scherling. Scherling now going to try to go down to the inside of the corkscrew. That's not going to work. Backs it off a little bit early, takes a wider entry into the quarter. We ride on board the rule hoop here. I love being able to come down that through the corkscrew. You really get a sense of just how much elevation change there is coming down there. You drop 3, 4, 5 stories. It is absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, I believe you've been to this circuit, haven't you, DJ? I have never seen it in person, but I think you've seen it with your own eyes, have you?
Have indeed. I had the lucky opportunity to come out here for IndyCar back in 2019, and believe me, the corkscrew is one of the wonders of the racing world. It is an absolutely remarkable corner, and highly encourage anybody who is able to go see a race here to do so, because you get up on that hill that you can see on the right-hand side of your screen and see about 75% of the track. But Michael Scherling, he's not worried about 75% of the track. He is worried about what is directly in front of him on track, and that is Tal Stern. This battle continues to rage on.
And we've also had a bit of a setback for Amir Mechelen, who was up in 10th position and quite comfortable, as I was saying before, but he's actually made a mistake. And he's down into 11th position and actually battling with Ran Sioni and Bertie Galili. So battles going on all over the circuit. Let's see if Scherling can make it through this time. 3rd attempt. It didn't seem like a particularly good T6 for him, and he won't be close enough up the Rahal straight to overtake this time. But it now means that Ventura after that off earlier on, he's back up into 10th position and would take reverse grid pole. So that is a constantly evolving situation, and quite remarkable, DJ, that we've got 46 seconds separating 1st and 10th. Halfway, well, 2/3 of the way through race 1. That is pretty crazy.
It's a pretty sizable margin, and I've got to think here that it's going to be pretty interesting for Ruben Cha-Cha to see what he is able to do in race 2. As you said, once again, reverse grid for that top 10 position. Going to be very, very fascinating. Yaroslav Malkov right here, one of the drivers that runs around. He is in P2. We thought there may have been a little bit of a battle starting to form earlier on between Malkov and John Chico behind him, but Chico just hasn't really seemed to have the pace. Still looks like he's overdriving that car just a little bit, and he's lost about, well, let's call it 2.5 seconds here in the middle third of this race.
All Tal Stern off the circuits. Now, he had a big gap over Ventura and co. But, and now Mechelem's off the circuit as well. So Mechelem having an absolutely awful couple of laps right now. And he's down into 14th position. So his chances of getting into the, of getting reverse grid pole completely over, it seems, for the 777. He's back running again, all right. I'll get a replay of what happened to Mechelem. Dare I say, this one is going to be by himself. He was running behind, is that Zubrev just ahead in the 13? Apologies, it was Ventura just ahead of him. And yeah, just losing it all by himself. He's through Andretti and has set him back even further. That's about 15 seconds he's lost in about 2 laps just due to a couple of spins.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about this iR-04, that rear suspension, very, very sensitive to bringing a little bit too much speed through the corner, and it is prone to break away like that, so you've got to be very, very careful. But now, in the final 4 minutes of the race, we had a 3-car battle, but Ito Isaac having a big off there coming through turn 4, so that is going to remove him from this battle, but still very close running right now between Madi Bakar and Ariel DeBush.
Yeah, these couple of drivers really close, but yeah, that was a shame for Isaac. He's dropped to 7th place. I don't believe he picks up any damage, fortunately, but just gating off the circuit, and well, it's good that he can't get stuck in the gravel on iRacing. Otherwise, he'd be possibly at threat of that as well. So yeah, just remains these couple of drivers in this fight for 4th position.
And that was Ariel DeBush getting the first part of the corkscrew all kinds of wrong. That rear end of the car slipping and sliding away. The 007 now coming out a rainy curve. That car does not look happy, and DeBush has already lost about 0.5 of a second up to Madi Bakar in front of him. And you can see there all of the steering input that he's having to put in coming down through turn 11, that final corner. The rear end of that car not happy here at this stage in the race. I think he's overworn these tires.
I think you're right, or at least overheated them, so he needs to be calm now, but he's pushing so hard. He can see Bakar only just ahead, and he's thinking, well, I could still catch up to this guy potentially, but it's not happening for him right now. So really, yeah, crisis times for DeBush right now, and he's losing any hope as he takes a little bit too much curb as well, just running through turn 4 right there. Well, this battle for the reverse grid pole still very much alive. Sione versus Ventura. And Ventura, I'm not sure who's really the faster out of these guys. I think it's probably Sione. I think Sione has actually just made that overtake. No, yeah, he has just made that overtake pass. Was 1.5 seconds faster than Ventura on that last lap. So Sione, from really nowhere on that opening lap, I think he dropped all the way to the back pretty much. He has raced his way through. And it looks like he's going to get the reward of a reverse grid pole.
Yeah, very much so, but he's going to have to fight here with a little bit of a damaged car. He and Ventura having some damage, and there goes Ventura around again. The rear end of the number 13 just snapping coming through turn 5. That's going to send him back down in the order, and so that is one less threat there that Rantasoni has to worry about right now. Luckily there for Ventura, he was able to get that car turned back around and headed the right way, but now this is the closest battle out on the track. Rantasoni, Mark Zubarev behind him. Tassoni, we've already talked about a little bit that there is some damage on the front of that car on the right front air fence there, as well as on the nose of the car. Zubarev looks like he's got a clean car, so as they come over the start-finish line here with 1, maybe 2 laps to go, not entirely sure where our leader Ruben Chacha was in relation to that line, but this could be a little bit of a battle that starts to bring itself forward. Zubarev about a second behind, but with no damage on that car, Zubarev may be able to close in.
That last lap, so only about 0.2 of a second quicker, so not much of a difference between the two of them. Zubarev's going to need some epic laps in order to overcome that deficit. We're going to get one more lap in the books then, about a minute to go across the line. I mean, Chacha is absolutely flying along right now. No pressure from behind from Malkov or Chico. In fact, actually, Malkov quite far clear of Chico. Remember, John was putting a fair amount of pressure on in the early stages. We were talking about maybe if he was just waiting behind, saving his tyres, but hasn't quite turned out to be that way in that gap, as you could just see on the time and tyre continuing to expand out, and then quite a gap back to Bakar. And the majority of the other battles, to be fair, sort of coming to an end, but I wouldn't rule out a mistake from any of these guys, seeing that what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. This track has bitten its fair few of drivers. Looks like Galili actually just had a problem out on track as well. So even on this last lap, proving very, very difficult. But we follow right now Yaroslav Malkov bringing that car up through the ever-treacherous turn 6, able to avoid that sausage curb. Little bit of a wide run there for him. He's going to kick up a little bit of dust. Oh, Ido Isaac around and into the wall. That's going to be out of the Andretti hairpin. That's a bit of a strange area to see a problem. Yeah, that is some massive damage. Let's check out this replay.
He's still got 20 seconds, I believe, to 11th position. That would be the position that he cares about, as this was Isaac. So he's already messed up the first part of it, and he's been a bit greedy on the second part, hasn't admitted his mistake, as we have across the line Ruben Chachashvili, our first race winner of the season, the car #1, and it is no surprise to see him back on top to open this F4 season. Malkov in second place, Chico in third position, but where is Isaac? In 8th position at the moment. He's still losing time. You can see that gap increasing constantly to the rest of the field, but dare I say, I think Isaac might have enough to hold on to a top 10.
I think he might, and that's going to put him up towards the pointy end of that reverse grid for race 2. Here is Michael Scherling bringing the car down through turn 11 right now. This is going to be for 6th place, as he looks like he's going to be able to hold out over Rielitzer as they cross over the line in 6th and 7th. Here is Ido Isaac, as you said, the gap at about 5 seconds here. He's going to be able to hold on for the moment and hold on. Yeah, there's definite damage. You can see that steering wheel a little bit cockeyed, but he is going to be able to hold on for P8. Tal Stern will cross over the line for P9, and it's going to be Rantasoni able to hold off that attack from Mark Zubarev. He will cross over the line P10, and crucially, that will be pole position for the second race.
He really deserves that, does Sione. He had to overtake a lot of cars on pace after a tricky opening. Dare I say, I think Sione is, I mean, I put Chachashvili, honestly, as like the favourite for race 2. But maybe Sione as a second favourite, because he should have a good head start with that pole position.
Yeah, he should have a good head start, and I'm very interested to see how that's going to play itself out once we get to it. But let's go ahead and run you through the grid here for this second race. As we said, it's going to be Rantasoni up in pole position, followed by Tal Stern, Ido Isaac, and Really Sir in the row behind them. Then it'll be Michael Scherling and Ariel DeBush, Madi Bakar, and John Chico in the row behind them, Yaroslav Malkov and Ruben Chachashvili there in P10. He was last race's winner. Now we get into the exact finishing positions for the rest of the field. Mark Zubarev and Reem Gross, Amir Mashulam and Tomer Ventura. Then Yossi Gabay and Eden Shear, Bertie Galili and Nadav Yaron in 18th. 19th will be Aviad Yamarkarov there in 19th. 20th will be Onarn Levy. Then it's going to be Offer Mazuz and Amir Hased, followed by Lior Levi Cerulli and Alon Day. Rounding out your 24-car grid, we've got another 20-minute feature race here to be able to get through. And if that first race is any indication here, Sam, I think this is all about just keeping your nose clean.
I think that could well be the name of the game as the lights are coming on for the second race of the evening.
Yes, they are, and there goes the green. We are racing again in Laguna Seca. Terrible getaway there from Ito Isaac. He is going to fall all the way back down through the order. That's 2 spots lost already. A little bit of a gaggle coming down here into the first corner as they work their way into the Andretti hairpin. Rantasoni out wide. That's going to be a spinning car around. A couple of cars mixed up in that. It looks like we've got Bertie Galili, Ito Isaac, Yaroslav Malkov as well, falling down through the order. The number 90 of Ito Isaac having to take a tow. There's contact in the back. That's Reem Gross, I think, falling down the order. Tomer Ventura may be involved in it as well.
Oh, messy start. Yeah, Ventura, Gross, again. Gross with 2 terrible lap ones in this across this evening. Huge shame for a few of those drivers, and it has thinned out our field slightly and also created quite a spread. So first down to 14th, separated by 8 seconds. Even after just 5 corners of this Laguna Seca circuit. But it's also only leading the way. He knows he has to pull away from the rest of the field as far as he can. 8/10 of a second clear of Tal Stern. Then it's really Sir Michael Sherling. And really the main man who's gained places is Amir Meshalem. He's up 4 places. Yaron up 7 places. Also Mazus up 7 places.
Yeah, some big gainers there from the beginning. A little bit surprised that we haven't seen this man, John Chico, move his way up the order a little bit more, but he's trying to gain 1 position right now. Excuse me, Ruben Chacha. I'm surprised that we haven't seen him move his way up through the field a little bit more, but he is going to get that position now on John Chico, and so that'll move him up into P7 on the day as they cross over the line here. First lap in the books of this 20-minute second race. Ooh, a little bit of a battle up here ahead. That's really Sir and Michael Sherling trying to force him a little bit wide. There was really Sir. That was a good move. The 007 of Ariel DeBush trying to get interested in this as well, but he's got to worry about coming down to the inside. Madi Bakar, and that's contact, and that's going to be the 227 of Bakar going way off into the gravel and bringing DeBush on with him.
Meshalem's just had his own issue, I think, around them. I don't think he was originally involved in that one, was he? No, Meshalem just spinning around, I think, just behind those drivers, so he loses a bunch of positions. That really is very positive for those drivers in the back end of the top 10, who just get 3 free positions very quickly, as does most of the field, it must be said. Mazus, I think, just getting overtaken by Malkov on his comeback after that spin down at the Andretti hairpin on the opening lap of the race. Ventura, is this with, apologies, that's Meshalem then versus Ventura. Chachashvili is now up ahead of Sherling, so up into 4th position now is Chachashvili. And this has been made a fair bit easier because it wasn't a great launch like you were saying before, DJ. It didn't gain a whole lot of places initially, but with that little incident ahead of him, it's really cleared the way for him. And you can see Racy only hasn't got too far ahead in this period of the race where the 20 car should have the advantage.
Yeah, only about 2.3 seconds up the road from Tal Stern. Here is Chachashvili trying to get a move down to the inside there of Really Sir, and it looks like that's going to be as easy as you please down to the inside, able to make it work. Good move there for Reuven. He's now going to set his sights on Tal Stern directly up ahead of him as they run through turn 3 and up through turn 4. Again, a little bit difficult here to make an overtake in the infield section. Oh, but we're going to try for 2 wide there between John Chico, and I believe that is going to be Sherling in the 200. Chico trying to get very aggressive there into turn 3, now into turn 5, as here, speaking of aggression, Ruben Chachashvili really making things work here, trying to go down to the inside of turn 6. He makes that look easy, but gets a little bit off onto the gravel.
And when you have the reputation that Reuven has, and when you got that car number 1, or that number 1 on your car, people know not to fight you. Oh, there's going to be contact there. That was almost contact up the road as well, but Chico was too deep, went into Sherling. I think Sir and Stern were having their own sorts of battle as well. They've lost a bunch of time. I mean, Chachashvili's pulled away about 1.5 seconds. Look how he's absolutely cleared away from these guys just in the space of 1 corner. Chico could go for a move here into the final corner. It was a poor exit for Sherling, and Chico with the advantage, but he's got nowhere to go. And in the end, the overtake was the worst place to do in hindsight because Sir was right there. Now we've got more cars getting in on the scene as well. I think that was that Zubarev trying to get past, but he was trying to go around the outside. He wasn't able to get past, and you can see that car crabbing up the road. He's crashed again now because there was so much steering damage, and you've got to feel bad in particular there for I think it was Stern who just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, nowhere to go at all right there, as that's a big problem for everybody as they run. Tal Stern here, as we focus in on the battles that have really forced themselves back around, trying to figure everything out. Tal Stern moving his way up forward, working his way around Michael Scherling, trying to close in behind here as they go. This is going to be Scherling right behind. Wide run there, it has to be said, coming out of the corner. That doesn't look like he is going to have that as they go. As they run themselves through. A little bit of side-by-side here between the 13 and the 959. That's going to be Ventura being a little bit more calm and collected, moving his way back in the field. I like that little bit of heads up, not trying to force the move as they go.
Yeah, and just to confirm as well, I misspoke before I said that Stern was the one who was caught up. It was actually really Sir who was caught up in that one. That's why he's just gone back to the pits, but he is back out on track. So, yeah, it was Sir who was unlucky with that car being stopped directly in front of him. Goodbye. Yeah, he was on that last lap 0.2 of a second quicker than Ventura. So he does seem to have the momentum. It's odd, there's so much field spread, and yet actually, around this part of the circuit, from about 7th down to 11th, we've got a nice battle going on of about 6 cars being involved, and particularly these 3 are nose to tail. As it stands, the 17th season opportunity, Ventura realises that he sort of left the inside a bit open there, turned out the corner. Fortunately for him, Goodbye wasn't going to commit all the way, and they stay in the same order, but it's only a matter of time till it changes around. Malkov now up into P5. That was a bit inevitable, I think, but Galili seemed to make that one especially easy. I'm not 100% sure why.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. It looked like he took the slow inside line there through the corner, but as we focus now on the battle between Scherling and Tal Stern, Stern in the 11, they're up ahead. A little bit of a look to the outside for Scherling, trying to see if he's going to be able to get anything through the corkscrew. Not really able to gain too much of an advantage, but we have got to be able to focus in here on this battle a little bit farther back in the pack. Ventura leading Hased, leading Gabay. Here comes the 17 of Gabay trying to make a move there on the 959 into the corkscrew down to the inside. That is going to be Hased trying to look for an over-under, but that's not going to play itself out, and it's going to be Gabay there in the green, number 17, but loses it at the exit of Rainy Curve, and that is going to tag up Levi. Oh my goodness gracious.
Well, we didn't see the incident back at turn 6 on on the first lap of the first race. It was pretty much that exact style though, and this time it was Goodbye. I think it may have been Goodbye in the first race actually as well, losing the car. And that was an early loss there, DJ. It wasn't as though he dipped a wheel onto the grass. It was almost immediately that he turned in. He was offline and just lost a load of grip. And how many times have we seen that today?
Yeah, it's becoming a real theme here in the iRacing Israel League. The rear tires on these iR-04s just not looking like they want to hold out. But here is Scherling trying to come onto the back of Tal Stern right now, looking to the outside of turn 6. That move's not going to work. He's going to have to stay in line. Is he going to be able to get a move here down into the corkscrew? Let's wait and see. He's going to look to the outside. That's a dangerous proposition, but he's going to try to send it down into the corner. Gets a little bit of crossover, just enough to force Tal Stern offline, but Stern is able to carry enough momentum down through the plunging chicane that he's going to be able to keep himself going forward. Scherling's going to have to re-rack and restack here, try to see what he is able to do as they come down through turn 10, maybe lining up a little bit over-under move, down to the inside, going into the hairpin. That was poetry in motion.
You love to see it, that late pull out there and being able to put his opponent offline, as we've got the battle for the lead now absolutely on Sione, able to pull away. What was it, about 3 seconds earlier on from Chashashvili? It was not enough. And frankly, I know that he's not passed yet, but with 11 minutes to go, it's a matter of when, not if. But I'd love to see Sione at least put up a fight, because we haven't seen too many other drivers do so. Admittedly, that's the wise thing to do. Let Chashashvili go, because you're going to lose out to him eventually. But Sione, 12 seconds to the car behind. Let's see if he can pull some shapes and hold on to this position for a few more minutes.
Oh, and it looks like we've had a problem there for Michael Scherling as well. That driver taking a tow back into pit lane and being classified as out of the race. So that was a battle that we were following a little bit earlier, but let's keep our eyes focused here on Chashashvili and Tassoni as they go. Diving down through the corkscrew. I like the restraint here from Ruben Chashashvili. Holding out a little bit more, not wanting to push too far ahead, just waiting to see if he can elicit a mistake here from Rand Tassoni. Great run there down through turn 10. He's going to look down to the inside of turn 11. Here he goes, down to the inside, onto the power, easy as you please, and Ruben Chashashvili back up into the lead of the race following the inverted grid.
Gianni will have one opportunity to make this move back, but you can't help but feel that Chechvili will just cover off the inside line. That should be all he needs to do. But there goes Gianni. He wants to go to the inside. It wasn't quite there. Now Chechvili is slightly wide, but he should get a good exit and can survive that Andretti hairpin. But good to see Gianni puts up a fight. You can't defend into every single corner. So, you know, taking the racing line to the final corner, that was not the bad thing to do. But in the end, just Chechvili too quick, and he is up to the lead from 10th position on the grid in only half the time that we have allotted. Malkov has got past Stern. He's up into P3. I think that was down at the Andretti hairpin, was that one. In fact, Stern made a mistake on that previous lap. He lost 3.5 seconds. So that is why that gap has come down quite as quickly as it has done. And Malkov, has he done this from around the outside? No, he's been able to find a gap which didn't look like it was originally there and made it very easy. Hit the apex very nicely into Andretti.
Yeah, that is just some good heads up there, kind of track awareness, knowing that the kink there that makes up turn 1 is going to bring the car to the outside of the track, and Malkov recognizing that Stern wanted to carry that momentum and be able to get the dive. Let's take a look here. Tal Stern working his way down through, taking one more look at this. There, that got a little bit wiggly there, coming down into the Andretti hairpin. Not exactly sure what happened to the 200 machine there. It looks like that may have been an internet connectivity issue that forced them off track, so that could have been what put Sherling out of the race here as they ran. He may have just disconnected.
Yes, you'd never want to see a race ended like that. He'll be very annoyed with that one, I imagine. Sherling, I don't think he's re-entered the session yet, at least. Mazus, by the way, has had a problem. He's still off the circuit as well. I don't know why he hasn't just towed back to the pits. Yeah, the 422 I believe was up in what, 7th or 8th, but he is now still running actually. So he was it seemed like he was off the circuit for an absolute age right there, but maybe having to wait to rejoin the track. It was into the corkscrew. I assume just taking a little bit too much pace in. Yeah, can't get the car stopped, lock the fronts, then lock the rears, and then he's in a tricky scenario then. Well, it's tricky to keep your position as well because you're just going to slide down that hill. It's so slippery off circuit in iRacing.
Yeah, it certainly is, and the gravel and the dust there really coming back to bite. We focus here on a battle a little further back in the field. This is Rielitzer and John Chico, both drivers who have had their fair share of adversity here today, falling down through the order 9 and 6 places respectively, but John Chico not done. He certainly wants to try to get his way back forward. Remember, he finished 3rd in that first race, and now he has got his eyes set on Rielitzer up ahead of him, able to close down a really good gap there through the first couple of corners on the infield section. That's going to bring him within about 2 to 3 car lengths. But again, just carrying too much speed on the exit there of turn 4. Looks like he is just trying to wring the neck of that car once more, over-driving here a little bit and falling victim to a little bit of understeer, rather.
And you can't do that every lap. Well, if you do it at that one corner every lap, you should be alright because the drive's limited to 17 incidents. So, you know, tracking something like that doesn't really lose you too much time here at Laguna Seca, but you have got to be careful of it if you do too many times. As Chico up the inside, he can't get it stopped though. He keeps it on the tarmac, but that was all he could manage to do. He did not want to go off the circuit and just had no turning ability whatsoever. The move was on there, I think, DJ. He was pretty much, you know, part of his car was almost alongside, but he just was a bit overzealous on the braking.
Yeah, a bit overzealous on the braking, and I think that's where you really have to factor in doing a little bit of feathering of the throttle, especially in these open wheel cars. You don't want to just slam on the brakes. You've got to feather it a little bit, find that optimal grip, the optimal braking performance, and using a little bit of trail braking to come into that corner, and it just looked like that it set out a little bit hard there for him. By the way, Ruven Chachashvili up at the front of the field now that he has been clear, setting the fastest lap of the race. As we take a look back here at Amir Hased, this is working on the 422. Does he just catch a little bit of the track wrong? Yep, caught some of that outside dirt, and that is going to spin him right around coming through turn 3.
And that's why he's dropped down to 14th position there. So, yeah, bad news for Amir. Chico, who, if I'm totally honest, DJ, I'm forgetting what happened to Chico earlier on. He's already gone back to the pits earlier on, so he had to take back to the pits. Apologies, I'm getting, I think, Chico and Malkov confused the which way around. But Chico, yeah, had that was one of the many drivers who had significant damage on the opening lap, had to tow back to the pits, and now is back out on circuit. In fact, Sir, I think, went through the same thing as well. He also had to tow back to the pits earlier on in the race. And so Chico looks a bit faster. That's a long, long way back. Sir saw it coming though, and Chico was able to get past.
Yeah, able to get past there, but it looks like really Sir may try to have a little bit of a fight back here as they come down through turn 1 into the Andretti hairpin, trying to carry as much momentum as he can around the outside. Is he going to be later on the binders? No, he's going to keep it together and stay back into line. So move John Chico up into 12th place position right now. And that kind of concludes here one of the closer battles, but we've got to say here, this could get a little bit interesting. Reuven Chachashvili, your leader, coming up behind these two to put them a lap down. Now remember, blue flags here in iRacing, not compulsory, they are merely advisory. And so these drivers are not obliged to get out of the way necessarily. Chachashvili may have to make this pass get done here on this lap traffic the hard way.
Yeah, it might not be totally obvious, it might not be totally easy for him to do so, especially if Sir feels like he can keep up with Chico. But well, that was a bit easier. It's why he's a bit nervous, isn't it, to see a driver have to go offline over those bumps at Laguna Seca. And then the next one will be Chico, who's got excellent pace himself, so it might take a couple more laps for Chachashvili to actually make up that gap. Chico's catching up to Aidan Scher now, and he's over 2 seconds a lap faster. So I think the number 4 will be past the number 2 fairly quick. You can see the two of them just up the road, and maybe even Mazus as well might be possible, as we've got Amir Hesed with another mistake, and that's cost him a position to Nadav Yaron, it looks like.
Yes, it does. And here we take a look at the replay of the 959 coming down through Rainy Curve. Looks like it's a little bit of the outside there, runs it wide, and that's just going to be a long off track. Big clobber over the curb, and that was dangerously close, it has to be said, with the number 22 directly up ahead of him. But here's John Chico with a problem going off there on the entrance of turn 4, trying to keep that 04 car together. That may not be the optimal line around this place, but I've got to give credit to John Chico. That was some of the most amazing car control I've seen in a long time, and that sets up a battle now with really Sir trying to be able to fight back on him here. Remember, Chico able to get that move done just a few minutes ago, and now it's going to be Sir all over to the back of the 04 again.
We were discussing how Chachashvili would get past Chico. I wasn't imagining it in that exact form, but thank goodness he managed to get a little bit of tarmac midway through that side, because if he was on the gravel all the way, I think he may have even reached the wall, as Chico is driving a bit aggressively right now. Remember, managed to finish in P3 back in race 1, was a comfortable P3 as well. Didn't see any mistakes like that during that opening race, but has made a mistake there. It's kind of made that battle with Scher a little bit more tricky, because he was easily going to catch up with Scher. Now it might be a bit of a stretch, and to catch Mazus, I think, is going to be too far for him to catch. So it might cost Chico a position by the end of the race, but at least he's still got all the wings on that car. The other close battles right now, I think Arnon Levy getting caught by Amir Meshalam. Meshalam was a second faster that last time out, so if he keeps gaining like that, he will be with the P7 man by the end of the race.
Yeah, he certainly will, but he doesn't have a whole lot of time to do it here. Only about 1 minute and 45 seconds left to go in this race. I do believe we will get the white flag next time by for Reuven Chachashvili. But here is Arnon Levy as he works his way around. Looking at those lap times, as you said, about a full second faster a lap here for the 777 of Amir Meshulam. Good line there out of that final corner, and bringing that gap down under 1.5 seconds. It's hovering now at about 1.3 as they work their way up and over the hill here, trying to see what they are able to do as they go. John Chico starting to close into the back there of Aidan Shear, as well as Amir Hesed closing into the back of Nadav Yaron. So plenty of action here in what is the final minute of this race from Laguna Seca.
Yeah, and Chico, there you go, that's easy enough for him. Straight past Scher. Hopefully he reappears, Chico. Come on, John, let's reappear. Let's not have another disconnect. We've already had one, of course. Oh dear, that's not looking too good, is it, for Chico? Hopefully there's still a bit of time for him to pop back into the session, but yeah, that is not good for him right there. But Meshulam past Levy as well, so Meshulam up into P7. And yeah, that was a move made a little bit quicker than I thought, honestly. Michelin caught by 1.2 seconds that last lap. An absolutely rapid start to this lap. Maybe a small mistake from Levy as well. But Michelin up to P7. You won't get any further than that. As Offer Masus, oh dearie me. I think he was going to hold on to that position. I mean, he was being caught by the cars behind, but he'd had a good race. But the 4.22 with a late error right there, as Chechishvili just has half a lap remaining to complete the double.
Yes, he does. He's going to climb his way up and over the hill here, down into the braking zone of the corkscrew, brings the car through the left-right flick. We ride on board the rule hoop here as he works his way down through Rainy Curve. Now coming around here into the penultimate corner, trying to carry as much momentum as possible as he brings his way onto this little straightaway that leads into turn 11, the final hairpin. Ruben Chachashvili bringing the car through onto the AstroTurf and onto the main straightaway, jumping back over to the left-hand side of the track, weaving back and forth, and as you said earlier, that's the double for Ruben Chachashvili, taking victory in race 1, taking victory in race 2 here at Laguna Seca.
And Mancioni will finish in a strong second place. He was my second favourite for it, and had Chachashvili had a bit more opposition in the early stages, had so many drivers not fallen off the circuit in front of him, maybe it could have been Sioni's day, but it was no doubt that he did not have the pace of Ruben tonight. Malkov rounding out a very strong evening, second place in race 1, third place in race 2. That's good points for his championship, keeps him in touch with Chachashvili at least. Stern finishes in 4th place. Galili being caught by Ventura right at the end, but Ventura needed a lap, maybe 2 laps, in order to make that overtake. And a good comeback there from Amir Meshlam to pass Levy in those closing stages. He will get P7, Levy in P8. Goodbye, despite a pit stop in P9, and Aidan Scher also a pit stop for him, finishing in P10.
Yeah, plenty of the drivers having to go through the pits here as the last driver to round out the order is going to be Yossi Gabe, as he is going to cross over the line here in P10, or excuse me, P9 there in the number 17. Let's go ahead and just run you through that final finishing order. Ruben Chachashvili again able to take victory over Rantasoni and Yaroslav Molkov. Then it was Tal Stern and Berti Galili, followed by Tomer Ventura and Amir Meshulam. Then Arnon Levy, Yossi Gabe, and Aidan Scher rounding out your top 10. It was Reilly Sir in 11, followed by Ofer Mazuz with Not of Your Own, and Mark Zubarev in 14th, with Amir Hased in 15th, 1 lap down. Then from there on back, it was John Chico in 16th place, followed by Aviad Yamarkov, then Michael Scherling, Ariel DeBush, Madi Bakar, Reem Gross, Ido Isaac, Alon Day, and Lior Levi Cerulli there rounding out your order. And that is going to be exactly what it is here for today, as it looks like we do have a couple of drivers here ready for an interview. And first and foremost, it is going to be your second place finisher there in race number 2, Rantasoni. It looked a lot like driving out there today was all just a matter of being able to keep all 4 tires on the black stuff, and that was going to be the way to get on through.
Yeah, exactly, especially in race 1. Yeah, for sure.
Well, was that kind of your strategy coming into it, or were you hoping for a little bit more on the day? How you feeling about today's result?
Well, to tell the truth, in practice I was 5th, and I was aiming to be top 5, and I managed to qualify 4th in the first race. And before even completing the lap, before the corkscrew, I just touched the sand and I spun and actually collected somebody with me. I think it was Ram. So sorry for that. And after that, I tried to get back to pace, but I actually had front wing damage. So the car was like super twitchy, oversteery, and I even spun again on the same corner. And I just knew that for race number 2, because we're going to have a reverse grid, I just gotta get top 10. So if I'll manage to get the 10th position at least, then I would qualify first in the next race, and maybe I would have a chance to keep the fast guys behind me. So yeah, that was the plan.
Well, it certainly looked like you executed it on there, especially in race 2. But looking ahead here, we head to, well, one of the monsters of iRating in the form of Mount Panorama next time out. Open wheelers around there, always a tricky proposition. How do you like your chances?
Well, I love Man Panorama. It's one of my favorite tracks, but unfortunately, I'm going to be abroad, so I'm not gonna participate in that particular race. So I want to wish everybody good luck.
Oh, well, I hate to hear that for you, man. But as for today, walking away here with a good podium in race 2, who made it possible? Who would you like to thank?
Well, first of all, to everybody that manages that season, for Tal and everybody that's taking part. Special thanks to you guys for broadcasting and doing such an amazing job, and to Chacha, for being such a gentleman and passing me with ease and not causing any problems. So yeah, I want to thank everybody.
Well, fantastic, Ren. Thank you so much for hopping into the booth with us, and congratulations on a good run here today.
Thank you, guys.
That was Rand Sony there, your finisher, your second place finisher in race 2. And now we have our double winner here that I believe, Sam, you have caught up with, Reuven Cha-Cha here in the booth.
Yeah, Reuven joins us in the commentary booth now. Congratulations, Reuven. Another double for yourself. When the F4 car was announced to be the car for this season, were you feeling confident that results like this would be possible?
Well, hey Sam, good evening everybody. Um, yeah, I was really happy. I mean, this car is such a tremendous car to drive comparing to the trucks that we were driving in the past seasons, the GT4 or GT3. I mean, they were pretty good cars to race, but kind of a boring to drive. And this car was like revived me again, and just thought me back to past seasons that we drove real racing cars, open wheelers, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's one of the best things with this league, the variance of cars as the seasons go on. It seemed like a lot of drivers were kind of struggling tonight in terms of keeping it on the circuit, particularly the oversteer in this car. How is it able that you were able to sort of dial that out? Because it seemed like you were never really sliding out there. It seemed like you were always in control of the car.
Yeah, actually, when the weather got worse in the second race, it was a bit more twitchy, and the oversteer felt more in the first sector. First corner is a huge pain for this car, as it tends to oversteer more rather than the understeer, um, and it rotates way better on throttle rather than brake or just coasting. So yeah, I think that this car just suits pretty well my driving style. And I guess that it's the best thing that could have happened to me that this car specifically was chosen to our next season. But yeah, I think that comparing to the past seasons, this car requires a bit more practice because you need to understand the characteristics of this car and be able to work with them to utilize them for generating pace and not to fighting them over the course of the race. And I think that having around 10 or even more races throughout the last week helped me a lot for doing that.
Yeah, I certainly imagine it has done. How was the start of race 2 for yourself? Because it seemed like it was absolute chaos around you, but you managed to keep your nose clean. I mean, was there any kind of hairy moments? Was there any moments that you thought that you might get involved in a crash?
It's the first race of the season, and I guess that many of the guys didn't have a chance to practice a lot because it's the holiday season in Israel. I mean, it's not a season, but it's a period of kind of pretty tight holidays that we have here, and I guess that not everybody had time to practice enough. So being careful is the best chance for you to finish first or finish somewhere at the top. And I guess that you need to fine tune and find the sweet spot between the aggressiveness and the extra being extra careful throughout the first couple of laps. And I guess that it worked out. Ron had a good chance to run away, as me, John, and several more in the back tried to pave a way to the top. And yeah, luckily I managed to catch Ron and had a pretty respectful fight, I'd say, with him. He did a great job, and I'm pretty happy that it finished in the first place for me.
Definitely. Well, big thanks for having a chat with us tonight, Ruben. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
The first shout out is for you guys. Thank you very much for doing a great job, and I'm pretty enjoying watching races after having a pretty intense racing. It's 40 minutes. It's pretty much of pure racing, and yeah, thank you guys. Thanks everybody participating in the race, and the management, which is Tal, Amir, and yeah, can't wait to Mount Panorama.
Awesome.
One of
Well,
the
best of
best
luck.
tracks on iRacing.
Yes, we 100% agree over Apex Racing TV. Best of luck for that one, Ruben.
Thank you very much.
Ruben Chachashvili there, your double race winner this evening. DJ, I think we have time for one more interview.
It does indeed look like we do, and that is going to be with John Chico, their podium in the first race. A little bit scruffy of a second race. John, how was it out there for you at this tricky Laguna Seca circuit?
Hey, I see you're being gentle with me about the second race. Scruffy, that's a nice description of what happened there. Yeah, how you doing, guys? So yeah, first race was okay. Did what I wanted to do. Got on the podium, kept it safe. Obviously, Roman Ruven he was on fire today, as usual. Untouchable. Yari was fast, and I just settled in third place. Took it easy, all good. Second race was oh man. I think it was Rayleigh who spun in front of me in the last turn, and I didn't see it coming, so that's it. It basically killed my race, but it happens. What are you gonna do? And that's it. And from there, I just tried to regain some as many spots as I could. Was really cutting it close with the incident points. And then I think it was like a last lap or the second to last lap. I was about to pass somebody, and he just slowed down at the exit of the turn. And I touched him, and that's it. I got DQ'd. So it had to happen sometime. So, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was fun anyway. First races, so all good.
Well, good. I love to hear that. We head to another circuit that's going to be, I think, just as tricky next time out in Mount Panorama. How do you like your chances there? How do you like the iR-04 there?
I don't do much downforce racing, so it's a learning curve. It's been a steep learning curve for me, but I'm getting the hang of it. I think so, anyway. Mount Panorama is gonna be crazy. Super tight in the mountain, going up, going down. It's gonna be a survival race. But yeah, anyway, well, it's gonna be fun. However it turns out.
I couldn't disagree with you. I couldn't agree with you more, rather, as I am very much looking forward to it as well. But, John, podium there in the first race, obviously a rough run in the second. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for the runs here today?
Al for organizing this, Amir Meshulam for getting us all the accessories we need as far as telemetry and stuff, and all the sponsors and everyone, and Hagai from SimRace, who I don't know why didn't participate today, but thanks a lot to them, and to everybody, and congrats to Oman and everybody who finished first, second, third, and managed to finish the race. So yeah, thank you guys. Obviously, have a good night.
Well, thank you, John, and congratulations again. All right, that was John Chico. And Sam, that's just about going to wrap up our broadcast here today. But on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, Sam Fitzpatrick, as well as our director and producer behind the scenes, Lewis Ward, it has been an absolute pleasure to bring you the racing action today for the iRacing Israel League live from Laguna Seca. You heard us mention it. In just 2 weeks' time, we head on over to Australia and let these iR-04s loose on Mount Panorama. But until then, until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.